The Knights Templar, one of the most legendary and enigmatic organizations in history, have fascinated scholars, conspiracy theorists, and the general public for centuries. Official history tells a dramatic tale. Founded in the early 12th century, they rose from humble beginnings as protectors of pilgrims in the Holy Land to one of the most powerful and wealthy military orders in Europe. But in the early 14th century, their sudden and brutal downfall left an indelible mark on the world's imagination. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, King Philip IV of France, desperate to seize the Templars' immense wealth and fearful of their power, ordered the arrest of hundreds of Templar knights. In the days that followed, the order was officially disbanded by Pope Clement V, its leaders tortured and executed, and its once mighty network of castles, estates, and banking operations dismantled. Or was it? What if the official story, though tragic and captivating, hides a deeper truth? What if the Templars were not truly destroyed, as history claims, but instead managed to escape the purge, going underground, and continuing their influence in secret? What if their hidden legacy survived, and the mystery surrounding their fall was a deliberate act of historical obfuscation, designed to conceal something much more profound? In this documentary, we embark on a journey into the heart of one of history's most enduring mysteries. We will dig beneath the surface of the accepted narrative, exploring the legends, the conspiracies, and the many unanswered questions surrounding the fate of the Knights Templar. What was it that made them so dangerous to the powers of Europe? Why were they targeted so ruthlessly? And why has the truth of their demise remained elusive for so long? The fall of the Templars has often been portrayed as the end of a chapter. But what if it was only the beginning? The myth of the Templars, their secretive rituals, their vast treasures, and their supposed guardianship of forbidden knowledge has persisted throughout history. The story of their demise is shrouded in mystery, with tantalizing clues scattered across the globe, suggesting that the Templars never truly perished. Their legend has endured through centuries, passing from whispered rumor to written lore, all while their true intentions and secrets remain hidden in the shadows. As we delve deeper into their story, we will explore the possibility that the Knights Templar were not wiped out in a single stroke of royal vengeance, but instead took flight, dispersing across Europe and beyond. Did they find sanctuary in distant lands like Scotland, Portugal, or even the New World? Were they the guardians of ancient knowledge, secrets so powerful that the very thought of them could threaten the established order of the church and monarchies? What if the Templars' greatest secret was not their wealth, but a hidden power they guarded fiercely, something so dangerous that the elite powers of Europe feared its exposure? The official narrative has been carefully crafted over centuries, with the Templars painted as heretics and criminals, their wealth seized, and their symbols eradicated from the public consciousness. Yet, there are those who believe that this carefully constructed history is far from the truth. The idea that the Templars were entirely destroyed is, to some, nothing more than a convenient lie designed to erase a threat that was never fully neutralized. The story of the Templars is rife with contradictions. While their sudden arrest and persecution were dramatic, they were by no means easily eradicated. The order was vast, with a network that spanned across Europe and the Middle East. Their presence was everywhere, on battlefields, in castles, in banks, and in courts of kings and queens. Yet, when the hammer fell, the Templars seemed to vanish overnight, almost as though they had planned for their downfall in advance, leaving behind only whispers and rumors of their continued existence. This documentary will ask the difficult questions. Were the Templars really destroyed, or was their fall merely a carefully orchestrated facade? Did the Templars have allies in high places, helping them to escape the purge? What if their treasure, supposedly lost forever, is still hidden, waiting to be found? Could the Templar Order have survived in secret, its influence embedded deep within powerful organizations, and even within the fabric of modern society? As we journey through the story of the Knights Templar, we will examine the evidence and theories that challenge the conventional understanding of their demise. From secretive survivors who may have fled to distant lands to the cryptic symbols and hidden messages embedded in Templar architecture, we will uncover clues that suggest the Order's shadow still looms large over our world today. The Templars, it seems, are far from being a relic of the past. They are a continuing enigma, their legacy not just surviving but evolving in the shadows of history. In the coming sections, we will investigate the Templars' true role in the world. Were they simply a medieval military order, or was there a deeper purpose behind their existence? We will explore the possibility that the Templars were stewards of ancient knowledge that the Church and the monarchy sought to suppress at any cost. We will look at the treasure they supposedly guarded. Was it material wealth, or was it something more abstract, more powerful? And we will question whether the Templars' destruction was as final as history suggests, or if their influence continues to this day, buried beneath layers of myth and secrecy. Through these investigations, we will uncover a hidden history, a history that has been deliberately obscured for centuries, a history that may change the way we understand not only the Templars but the course of human history itself. The truth, we will discover, is not as simple as the story we've been told. And so, as we peel back the layers of history, the question remains, what really happened to the Knights Templar? Were they destroyed in a single night? Or did they slip away, continuing to operate in secret, guarding their forbidden knowledge, and influencing the world from the shadows? As we dive deeper into this mystery, prepare to be challenged, to question everything you thought you knew, and to embark on a journey that will reveal the extraordinary truth behind one of history's most enduring secrets. The story of the Knights Templar's fall is dramatic, well-documented, and deeply ingrained in historical narrative. Most of us are familiar with the version of events that has been passed down through history, a tale of betrayal, treachery, and a shocking dissolution of one of the most powerful military orders of the medieval world. But while this version has been taught for centuries, it remains a story filled with contradictions, questions, and inconsistencies that, when examined closely, suggest there is more to the Templars' end than we have been led to believe. The Templars, founded in 1119, were originally a small band of knights whose mission was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land after the First Crusade. Over the next 2 centuries, they would rise to unimaginable power. Their wealth came not only from land donations, but also from their role as bankers, a service that helped fund the Crusades. By the early 14th century, they controlled vast estates across Europe, enjoyed the protection of kings and monarchs, and were rumored to possess untold riches, including sacred relics that were said to be capable of challenging the very foundations of the Christian faith. Yet, in a span of just a few years, this mighty order was brought to its knees. The fall of the Templars is commonly associated with Friday the 13th of October, 1307, a date now forever embedded in our collective memory as a symbol of misfortune. On that day, King Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair, launched a preemptive strike against the order, ordering the arrest of all Templars within his kingdom. What followed was a rapid and ruthless campaign to dismantle the organization, leading to the public execution of their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, in 1314, and the eventual formal dissolution of the order by Pope Clement V in 1312. The charges leveled against the Templars were severe and highly damaging: heresy, idolatry, blasphemy, sexual depravity, and various other criminal acts. These accusations seemed designed not only to destroy the reputation of the order, but also to eliminate any trace of their legacy. The Templars were accused of engaging in secret rituals, including the worship of a mysterious idol, which some claim may have been the Baphomet, a symbol of pagan worship. The charge of heresy was particularly damning, as it suggested that the Templars had diverged from the official doctrine of the Catholic Church and were operating outside the bounds of orthodoxy. But why was this sudden and violent purge necessary? Why was an institution that had been so closely linked with the Christian Church suddenly accused of such heinous crimes? What motivated Philip IV, a king who had been so reliant on the Templars for financial support, to turn on them with such viciousness? The answer to these questions lies, in part, with Philip himself. King Philip had long been in debt to the Templars. The order had lent him large sums of money to fund his military campaigns, and the king had repeatedly failed to repay the debt. But the financial strain was not the only reason for his animosity. Philip, seeking greater power and independence from the church, saw an opportunity to weaken the Templars and seize their wealth. By accusing them of heresy, he could undermine their influence and take control of their vast financial holdings. This was not just an assault on the Templars, but a direct challenge to the church's authority as well. However, Philip's greed was not the only factor at play. Pope Clement V, a man known for his political maneuvering and weakness, was under immense pressure from the French king. Philip had essentially manipulated the papacy, forcing Clement to comply with his wishes. The Pope, although initially hesitant, eventually caved in to Philip's demands and issued the papal bull Vox in Excelso, which formally condemned the Templars and authorized their persecution. In essence, the Church, once the protector and benefactor of the Templars, now became their executioner. This tragic turn of events was not only a betrayal of the order, but also a chilling demonstration of the power struggles that often shaped medieval politics. As the arrests began in France, the accusations against the Templars were broadcast across Christendom, spreading like wildfire. Templar knights were tortured into confessing crimes they did not commit, forced to admit to the most grotesque charges, many of which had no basis in reality. Under extreme duress, they were coerced into admitting to heretical practices, things that, in hindsight, seem more like fabrications designed to justify their execution. These confessions were extracted through methods such as the breaking of bones and the use of racks, tools that allowed torturers to manipulate the confessions of even the most loyal servants. The trials were not only an indictment of the Templars, but also of the ecclesiastical and judicial systems of the time. The very process by which the Templars were convicted cast doubt on the legitimacy of the charges. It is now widely accepted by modern historians that many of the confessions were the result of torture and that the accusations against the Templars were exaggerated or entirely false. Yet despite this, the accusations stuck. The Templars, once admired for their valor and piety, were forever branded as criminals, and their wealth and power were systematically confiscated. The dissolution of the Templars was formalized by Pope Clement V at the Council of Vienne in 1312, in a move that further cemented the Church's involvement in the order's destruction. This decision was not taken lightly, as it effectively erased one of the most influential military orders in Christian history. But despite this official declaration, many of the Templars' most prized possessions, treasures, artifacts, documents, and vast sums of money, were never recovered. Historians and treasure hunters have long speculated that these were hidden away by the Templars before their downfall. And perhaps even more intriguing is the question of what might have happened to the Templar survivors, who either fled into exile or disappeared into the shadows. The fall of the Templars seemed complete, their order wiped from the pages of history. Yet, despite the official narrative, there are curious details that suggest the story might not be as simple as it appears. Why, for example, did some of the Templars manage to escape the purge entirely? How did certain Templar fortresses in Spain and Portugal continue to thrive long after the order's official dissolution? And why did some of the Templars' symbols, rituals, and beliefs persist in other organizations, most notably the Freemasons, which many believe inherited the Templar legacy? The official story of the Templars' destruction, while tragic, does not account for these lingering questions. The Templars were far from an ordinary military order. They were a powerful, secretive force that operated at the highest levels of society and government. Their legacy, it seems, was too significant to be wiped out entirely, and the mystery of their demise is far from being settled. In the next sections, we will delve deeper into the untold aspects of this story, exploring the possibility that the Knights Templar did not simply vanish from history, but instead retreated into the shadows, leaving behind clues to their survival and the hidden knowledge they guarded so fiercely. The official narrative may have sealed their fate, but the truth, as we shall see, is much more elusive. The true nature of the Knights Templar has always been shrouded in mystery. While many view them as a religious and military order whose sole purpose was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, the reality of their mission, influence, and beliefs was far more complex, and perhaps more enigmatic than most have ever imagined. The Templars were not simply knights in armor. They were warriors, financiers, and custodians of ancient knowledge, blending aspects of mysticism, secrecy, and power that reached far beyond the expectations of their role as defenders of the faith. In the years following their founding in 1119 by Hugues de Payens and a small group of knights, the Templars quickly grew from a humble band of religious warriors into one of the most powerful and wealthy organizations in Europe. Their influence stretched from the battlefields of the Crusades to the courts of kings and emperors, and their activities extended far beyond military service. The Knights Templar became synonymous with vast wealth, elite connections, and access to some of the most coveted secrets of the medieval world. At the heart of the Templar Order was their commitment to the defense of Christianity. The original purpose of the Templars was noble enough. They were founded to protect Christian pilgrims who journeyed to Jerusalem, a city fraught with danger in the wake of the First Crusade. However, as the Templars grew in power and influence, their mission expanded, and their wealth began to outpace even the most prosperous kingdoms in Europe. They operated under the auspices of the Catholic Church, but over time their relationship with the Church became increasingly strained, especially as their power threatened the Church's own authority. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Templars' rise to prominence was their ability to amass such incredible wealth. The Templars didn't simply rely on donations or the spoils of war. They established a complex network of financial institutions that allowed them to operate as medieval bankers. Wealthy individuals and kings alike entrusted the Templars with their money, and the order became a vital financial lifeline for many European monarchs. Their banking operations were so successful that they could lend money to the rulers of nations, securing vast sums through interest and deposits, while also holding substantial land holdings across Europe and the Holy Land. The Templars' wealth, however, was not just a matter of financial acumen. Their rise to power was deeply entwined with their role as the guardians of something far more precious than gold: ancient knowledge. This knowledge, it is believed, was linked to the Templars' activities in the Holy Land, specifically their time in Jerusalem and their involvement with the excavation of sites such as the Temple of Solomon. According to some accounts, the Templars uncovered ancient texts, relics, and artifacts during their time in Jerusalem, knowledge that could challenge the very foundation of Christian teachings. The idea that the Templars were privy to hidden knowledge has fueled centuries of speculation. One of the most enduring myths surrounding the Templars is their alleged discovery of the Holy Grail. While some consider the Grail to be nothing more than a Christian relic, perhaps the cup used by Jesus during the Last Supper, others believe that the Grail represents something far more mystical and esoteric. Was the Grail, as some claim, an artifact of immense power, one that the Templars were charged with protecting at all costs? Or was it a symbol of a deeper, more secret knowledge, one that the Templars alone were privy to? In addition to their role as keepers of the Grail, the Templars are also believed to have guarded other sacred relics, including the Ark of the Covenant, the true cross of Jesus, and various Gnostic texts that were thought to have been lost to history. The Templars' connection to these ancient relics is one of the most mysterious aspects of their legacy, and many historians believe that these relics and the knowledge they contained were the true reason for the Templars' meteoric rise. If they indeed possessed such sacred objects, the Templars would have been privy to knowledge that could challenge the foundations of the Catholic Church and medieval society. The Templars' interest in esoteric knowledge didn't stop with the Grail or sacred relics. Their practices and rituals also suggest a deep fascination with mysticism, alchemy, and other forms of arcane knowledge. Some scholars point to the Templars' use of secret symbols, codes, and rituals as evidence that they were engaged in a kind of spiritual alchemy, a search for hidden truths that transcended the material world. This mystical aspect of the Templar Order has led many to speculate that their true purpose was not just to fight in the name of Christianity, but to uncover and protect the secrets of the ancient world. One of the key aspects of Templar ritual that has attracted attention is the use of symbols, particularly the Templar cross. The cross, often depicted as a red cross on a white background, was not merely a Christian symbol. It was also a potent symbol of power and transformation. Some researchers believe that the Templars' use of the cross, along with other symbols like the pentagram and the all-seeing eye, was a reflection of their deeper, more esoteric beliefs. The use of such symbols suggests that the Templars were not just warriors, but initiates into a secret spiritual order, one that sought to understand and control the hidden forces of the universe. The rituals and beliefs of the Templars were not entirely unique to them, either. Many historians believe that the Templars were influenced by earlier traditions of mystical knowledge, such as the ancient mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and Rome, as well as the mystical teachings of Kabbalah and Gnosticism. The Templars, like these ancient traditions, were interested in the nature of the soul, the universe, and the divine. They sought not just to understand the material world, but to tap into a hidden spiritual realm that could offer answers to life's deepest questions. As the Templars grew in power and influence, they also became embroiled in a complex web of political and religious intrigue. Their relationships with the church and secular rulers were often fraught with tension, and their enormous wealth and autonomy made them a target for those who saw them as a threat. King Philip IV of France, desperate for the Templars' riches and fearful of their power, initiated the order's downfall. In 1307, he ordered the mass arrest of Templar knights, accusing them of heresy, idolatry, and various other crimes. Many of the Templars were tortured and forced to confess to acts they had not committed, while others were executed or disappeared. The official story of the Templars' fall portrays them as criminals and heretics, but for many, the real story of the Templars has always been one of survival and hidden knowledge. Were the Templars truly destroyed, or did they simply retreat into the shadows, their secrets preserved for those who were willing to seek them out? Did their knowledge survive, passed down through secret societies like the Freemasons, whose symbols and rituals share uncanny similarities with Templar traditions? The legacy of the Templars remains a subject of intense fascination and speculation. While their role in history may have been obscured by centuries of suppression and myth, the secrets they guarded are far from forgotten. In the years that followed their fall, the Templars continued to influence world events from behind the scenes. Their symbols, beliefs, and knowledge can still be found in the institutions, organizations, and structures that dominate our world today. And as we will see in the coming sections, the mystery of the Templars is far from over. Their story is not one of finality, but of ongoing revelation, with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The Templars' time in the Holy Land is shrouded in mystery, and it is within this context that the legends of their greatest treasures and secrets began to emerge. While the official story of the Templars portrays them as noble warriors dedicated to the protection of Christian pilgrims, the real reason for their rapid rise to power may have been something far more extraordinary. There are countless theories that suggest the Templars did not just fight for Christianity, but that they were, in fact, searching for and protecting powerful artifacts and ancient knowledge that could change the course of history. What, then, did the Templars actually find during their time in the Holy Land? The Crusades were supposed to be about reclaiming Jerusalem and the surrounding territories from Muslim rule, but the Templars, like many other orders, had more on their minds than just military conquest. They arrived in the Holy Land at a time when the region was a treasure trove of ancient relics and historical mysteries. Jerusalem, in particular, was a city of immense spiritual significance, not only for Christians, but for Jews and Muslims as well. The Templars, as one of the most powerful and influential Christian orders, were uniquely positioned to access the most sacred sites in the city, including the Temple Mount, which held the ruins of the biblical Solomon's Temple. According to some of the most enduring theories, The Templars were more than just warriors. They were also explorers, searching for relics of extraordinary importance. One of the most tantalizing ideas is that the Templars uncovered the lost Ark of the Covenant during their excavations beneath the Temple Mount. The Ark, a sacred object in the Old Testament, was said to contain the stone tablets on which the Ten Commandments were inscribed. Throughout history, the Ark has been the subject of intense speculation. Some believe that it possesses extraordinary powers, while others argue that it is a symbol of divine authority. The idea that the Templars may have discovered the Ark of the Covenant during their time in Jerusalem has captivated historians, religious scholars, and conspiracy theorists alike. The notion that the Templars found the Ark is based on several pieces of circumstantial evidence. First, there are reports of unusual activities beneath the Temple Mount, where the Templars set up their headquarters. It is believed that they conducted extensive excavations under the pretense of seeking ancient artifacts, but what they discovered remains unclear. The Templars were notoriously secretive, and their activities in Jerusalem were closely guarded. Some believe that they found the Ark and hid it away, guarding it fiercely from both the Church and the Muslim forces. The idea that the Ark was hidden by the Templars raises a fascinating possibility. Could the order have been entrusted with guarding one of the most powerful and sacred objects in biblical history? But the Ark of the Covenant was not the only potential treasure the Templars may have unearthed. Another widely discussed relic associated with the Templars is the Holy Grail. The Grail, like the Ark, is shrouded in myth and mystery. For centuries, it has been depicted as a chalice, the cup used by Jesus during the Last Supper, that is said to possess miraculous powers. The Templars, as devout Christian warriors, would have had a keen interest in such an object, particularly if they believed it could grant them divine favor or unlock secrets of the divine. The connection between the Templars and the Holy Grail is often cited in the literature surrounding the Order's time in the Holy Land. Some suggest that the Templars were not just searching for the Grail, but were tasked with protecting it. In the medieval period, the Grail was considered the ultimate Christian relic, capable of granting spiritual enlightenment or even eternal life. If the Templars truly discovered or inherited knowledge of the Grail, it would have given them an immense source of power, both religious and political. The idea of the Templars possessing knowledge of the Grail raises important questions about the nature of their beliefs. Were they simply a religious order, or did they have access to ancient, esoteric wisdom that transcended traditional Christian teachings? Some theories suggest that the Templars were not just custodians of Christian faith, but were initiates into a much older, more mystical tradition, one that connected them to the lost knowledge of the ancients. This idea is supported by the fact that many of the Templars' symbols, rituals, and beliefs are thought to be derived from much older, pre-Christian traditions. Could the Grail have been a symbol of something far more profound than just a Christian relic? Another fascinating theory posits that the Templars' real treasure was not a physical artifact at all, but rather a body of secret knowledge, lost texts, manuscripts, or teachings that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. Some historians speculate that the Templars, during their time in the Holy Land, came into possession of Gnostic texts, early Christian writings that were later suppressed by the Church. The Gnostic Gospels, which differ from the traditional biblical narrative, present a radically different view of Christianity, one that emphasizes personal spiritual knowledge over orthodox doctrine. If the Templars did indeed uncover these texts, they may have been guarding not just physical relics, but an entirely different understanding of Christianity, one that would have undermined the authority of the Church. These Gnostic texts and other esoteric writings may have been passed down through the centuries, carefully preserved by the Templars and later by other secret societies, such as the Freemasons. The Templars' role as guardians of secret knowledge is central to the ongoing mystery of their existence. The idea that the Templars discovered and hid away these texts raises the question of what knowledge they might have contained. Were the Templars the keepers of wisdom that could challenge the foundations of organized religion, political power, and even the very fabric of reality as we know it? In addition to these religious and esoteric treasures, There are also theories that suggest the Templars may have discovered vast amounts of material wealth during their time in the Holy Land. The Crusaders, as conquerors, looted cities and monasteries, amassing riches that were considered among the greatest in medieval Europe. The Templars, as part of the Crusader force, would have been intimately involved in these plunderings. Yet, after their fall from grace, much of this wealth was never recovered. Could the Templars have hidden their wealth, placing it beyond the reach of the church and the monarchy, in order to preserve it for future generations? The disappearance of the Templars' wealth is another enduring mystery. While the official story holds that their treasure was seized and dispersed among the church and the French monarchy, the lack of any substantial evidence to confirm this raises the possibility that the Templars secretly hid their fortune before their arrest. Over the years, treasure hunters have scoured Europe and the Middle East in search of Templar caches, but to this day, no one has definitively located any of their hidden treasures. Whether these riches were material or symbolic, coins, jewels, sacred relics, or forbidden knowledge, the question remains, did the Templars truly hide their wealth? And if so, where is it now? In the aftermath of the Templars' dissolution, their treasures and secrets were scattered, and much of what they had found or protected in the Holy Land was lost to history. The most tantalizing and enduring possibility is that the Templars did not simply vanish with their treasures, but carefully concealed them, leaving clues for those who would come after. Whether they were protecting physical objects like the Ark and the Grail or guarding forbidden knowledge, the Templars' true treasure remains one of history's greatest mysteries, a mystery that continues to captivate the imagination of historians, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists alike. The story of the Knights Templars' rise to immense wealth and their subsequent fall is inextricably linked to the question of what happened to their treasure. When King Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair, and Pope Clement V launched their brutal campaign against the Templars in the early 14th century, one of their primary motivations was to seize the vast riches accumulated by the order. The Templars, after all, were not just warriors and religious zealots. They were financial giants, managing an intricate web of banking operations, landholdings, and military outposts across Europe and the Middle East. But as quickly as they were arrested, interrogated, and ultimately dissolved, their wealth seemed to vanish into thin air, leading to one of the most enduring mysteries in history. Where did the Templars' treasure go? In 1307, Philip IV, deeply indebted to the Templars, saw an opportunity to eliminate his financial burden and solidify his own power by striking at the heart of the order. Using the full force of the French monarchy, he had hundreds of Templar knights arrested, accused of heresy, and subjected to intense torture. The charges range from idolatry and blasphemy to secret rituals and the worship of a mysterious figure known as Baphomet. In the aftermath of these confessions, many of which were extracted under duress, Pope Clement V, under the pressure of the French king, ordered the official dissolution of the order. In theory, this marked the end of the Templars as a unified force. However, the treasure the Templars had accumulated over the years did not disappear along with the Knights. In fact, it seemed to vanish just as mysteriously as the order itself. The records of the Templars' holdings, as well as their famous banking operations, indicate that they controlled vast sums of money, estates, and valuable artifacts. Their wealth came from multiple sources: donations from monarchs and nobility, payments for their services as protectors of pilgrims and crusaders, and their groundbreaking role as medieval bankers. The Templars had developed an early form of international banking, issuing letters of credit and facilitating money transfers across Europe and the Holy Land. As the order's wealth grew, so did its influence. Their financial operations were so successful that they rivaled those of the most powerful kingdoms of the time. When the Templars were arrested, their wealth was supposed to have been seized by the Church and the French monarchy. In the aftermath, Philip and Clement were both keen to claim the riches of the order. Philip, ever the opportunist, moved quickly to take control of the Templars' assets, including their vast estates and financial holdings. But many of the most valuable assets, gold, silver, artifacts, and documents, seemed to be conspicuously absent. Where did it all go? The disappearance of the Templars' wealth is the subject of much speculation. Some historians and conspiracy theorists argue that the treasure was hidden by the Templars themselves before their arrest, possibly in secret locations known only to a few high-ranking members of the order. These survivors of the Templar Purge may have hidden the wealth in remote locations, away from the grasp of Philip and Clement. The idea that the Templars had foreseen their downfall and had planned to conceal their treasure in advance is one of the most enduring theories about their mysterious fate. Over the centuries, many have searched for the Templar treasure, scouring the lands of Europe and the Middle East for hidden caches of gold, manuscripts, and sacred relics. From the mountains of Scotland to the caves of the Holy Land, treasure hunters have been drawn to the myth of the Templar wealth. There are even stories of entire fleets of Templar ships, laden with treasure, vanishing without a trace. Some claim that the treasure was taken to the New World, hidden in the Americas, or perhaps even buried in the remote corners of Europe. In some versions of the legend, the Templars were said to have hidden their most prized possessions, possibly the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or other sacred relics, along with their material wealth. One of the most widely discussed possibilities is that the Templar treasure was hidden in Scotland. During the time of their persecution, many Templars fled France and sought refuge in Scotland, which had a long history of resisting English rule and was considered a safe haven for those fleeing political and religious persecution. Scotland was also home to many Templar-friendly nobles, and some of these nobles are said to have aided the escape of Templar knights. According to some theories, the treasure was buried in a secret location in the Scottish Highlands, or hidden within the walls of Rosslyn Chapel, a place famously linked to Templar imagery and symbolism. The chapel, with its enigmatic carvings and cryptic symbols, has long been the subject of speculation. Some believe that the Templars left behind clues within its intricate architecture that point to the location of their hidden treasure. Another theory suggests that the Templar treasure was not a material hoard at all, but rather a collection of knowledge, esoteric texts, ancient manuscripts, and sacred relics that held spiritual or mystical power. This would explain why the treasure has never been found, as it was not composed of traditional riches like gold and silver, but rather more intangible wealth, such as the forbidden knowledge the Templars were rumored to have discovered in the Holy Land. If the Templars had access to Gnostic texts, ancient Jewish scrolls, or even secret Christian manuscripts that were later suppressed by the Church, this treasure would be far more valuable than gold. The preservation of such knowledge would have been the true objective of the Templars, and they may have concealed these documents in secret locations known only to their most trusted members. Some even suggest that the Templar treasure is not hidden at all, but has been carefully integrated into modern institutions. One popular theory holds that the treasure was transferred to secret societies like the Freemasons, who are believed to have inherited the Templar legacy. Freemasonry, with its symbols and rituals, shares many similarities with the Templars, and it has long been speculated that the Masons guard the knowledge and wealth once held by the Templars. Some point to the Masonic lodges and their cryptic rituals as a continuation of the Templar tradition, implying that the treasure was not lost, but simply passed into new hands. The Templars' vast fortune may have also been hidden in plain sight through the Church and the monarchy's own acquisitions. While the Church claimed much of the Templars' material wealth, there are theories that suggest some of it was preserved or recycled into ecclesiastical coffers, possibly disguised as donations or gifts from other sources. The connection between the Templars and the Church's political power was not entirely severed, and the transfer of wealth may have been far more subtle than the official history suggests. Despite centuries of searching, no conclusive evidence of the Templar treasure has ever been found. Numerous expeditions have been launched in the hopes of uncovering hidden caches, but so far, the treasure remains elusive. The mystery of the Templars' wealth has become a part of their larger enigma, one that continues to captivate the imagination of historians, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists alike. Perhaps, as some believe, the treasure is simply a myth, an enduring legend created by the mystery surrounding the order. Or perhaps it is still out there, waiting to be uncovered, a legacy of the Templars that has remained hidden for centuries. The Templar treasure is not just a story about gold and riches. It is about something much deeper, the idea that the wealth of the order, whether material or spiritual, was far too powerful to be allowed to fade into history. Whether hidden in remote corners of the world or buried within the institutions of power, the true fate of the Templar treasure remains one of the most enduring mysteries of all time. The fall of the Knights Templar in the early 14th century has long been viewed as the tragic end of a powerful military and religious order, their wealth seized, their knights executed, and their headquarters dismantled. However, the question remains, was this truly the end of the Templars? While the official narrative insists that the order was entirely destroyed, there are numerous accounts, legends, and theories that suggest otherwise. Could it be that the Templars, rather than being wiped out, simply disappeared from public view, escaping the wrath of King Philip IV and Pope Clement V? And if so, where did they go, and what happened to them after their official dissolution? The idea that the Templars may have survived their persecution has intrigued historians, researchers, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. The official story, one that paints the Templars as a group of heretics punished for their secretive and dangerous activities, has never fully accounted for the possibility that some of the Order's members escaped, fled, and continued to exist under a new guise. The Templars were not a small group. At their height, they had thousands of knights, chaplains, and support staff spread across Europe and the Middle East. It seems highly unlikely that such a vast and well-organized order could have been completely eradicated in such a short time. Could some of them have gone underground, preserving their traditions and influence in secret? One of the most compelling theories surrounding the Templar survival is the notion that many knights, particularly those in France and other parts of Europe, managed to escape the purge. While the king's orders were clear, capture the Templars, extract confessions, and seize their wealth, there were numerous Templar outposts scattered across Europe, each with its own local network of members, supporters, and allies. Some Templars may have received word of the arrests before the king's men arrived, giving them enough time to flee to distant lands. There are accounts of certain Templar strongholds, especially in Portugal and Scotland, continuing to function long after the official dissolution of the order. One of the most popular destinations for these survivors was Scotland. In the years following the fall of the Templars, Scotland was known to be a haven for those fleeing the wrath of King Philip. At the time, Scotland was embroiled in its own struggles with England and had a history of providing sanctuary for individuals and groups in need of protection. The country's independence from England and its resistance to external authority made it a natural refuge for those seeking to escape the oppressive power of the French monarchy and the papacy. Furthermore, several prominent Scottish nobles were rumored to have been sympathetic to the Templars, and it is believed that many knights fled to the Highlands, where they were sheltered by these powerful allies. In Scotland, the Templars may have found a new home, blending into the local culture and establishing new bases of operation. Some theories suggest that the Templars eventually integrated into the structure of the Scottish rite of Freemasonry, with many of their rituals and symbols finding a new home in this secretive organization. The Freemasons, whose own origins are often linked to the Templars, have been accused of carrying on the Templar legacy, preserving their rituals, symbols, and beliefs for centuries. The idea that the Templars survived by becoming part of another secret society is one of the most enduring and intriguing possibilities. Another possibility is that the Templars found refuge in Portugal, a country that also had strong connections to the Crusades. In the early 14th century, Portugal was an independent kingdom, and the Templars had a significant presence there. In fact, the last Grand Master of the Templar Order, Jacques de Molay, is said to have appointed the Grand Master of the Portuguese Templars, who may have been instrumental in preserving the order's legacy. Some historians argue that the Portuguese Templars, instead of being dismantled, were absorbed into the Order of Christ, a new religious and military order that continued to operate in the wake of the Templars' fall. The Order of Christ would go on to play a pivotal role in the age of exploration, financing, and supporting expeditions to the New World. It is possible that the Templars, in one form or another, continued to exert influence over the course of history, shaping events behind the scenes. Yet another theory suggests that the Templars could have traveled even further afield. Some believe that, rather than simply fleeing to nearby countries, the Templars might have ventured across the Atlantic Ocean, reaching the Americas long before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. According to these theories, the Templars may have hidden their wealth and knowledge in the New World, leaving behind clues to their presence in the form of cryptic symbols, hidden codes, and mysterious structures. This theory is supported by the discovery of various Templar-like symbols in ancient sites across North and South America, particularly in places like Nova Scotia in Canada and the Oak Island Mystery in the United States. Some claim that the Templars may have left behind their most precious secrets in these remote locations, waiting to be rediscovered. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Templar survival theory is the possibility that the Order's secretive nature allowed it to persist in plain sight. While the official Templar Order may have been disbanded and its members persecuted, it's possible that the Knights Templar continued their work in secret, operating behind closed doors and maintaining a hidden network of power. These hidden Templars might have infiltrated various organizations and institutions over the centuries, using their wealth, influence, and knowledge to exert control behind the scenes. Some have speculated that the Freemasons, with their elaborate rituals and symbols, are the modern descendants of the Templars, keeping their traditions alive in secret. Indeed, the idea of Templar survival can be seen in the proliferation of various secret societies, organizations, and movements throughout history. From the Rosicrucians to the Illuminati, there are numerous groups that have been linked to the Templars, with some claiming that these organizations were founded to continue the Templars' work. These societies often employed Templar-like symbols, such as the all-seeing eye and the pentagram, and some even adopted aspects of Templar rituals and codes. Whether these groups were consciously carrying on the Templar legacy or simply borrowing from it is a subject of debate, but the parallels are undeniable. The idea that the Templars survived, either by going underground or by joining other secret organizations, is supported by the sheer size and scope of the Order. It seems implausible that such a powerful institution could have simply vanished overnight. Even if their wealth was seized and their physical presence destroyed, the Templars were a network, a brotherhood that stretched across Europe, and they had deep connections within the highest echelons of society. Their survival may not have been in the form of a traditional military order, but rather in the form of an underground network that persisted through the centuries, continuing to wield influence in subtle ways. In conclusion, while the official story may insist that the Knights Templar were completely eradicated, the possibility that they survived in secret remains a compelling theory. Whether they found refuge in places like Scotland and Portugal, or whether they fled further afield to the New World, the idea that the Templars' legacy endured after their official fall raises important questions about the true nature of their power, influence, and purpose. The Templars may have been driven underground, but their secrets, wealth, and knowledge may have survived for centuries, waiting for the right moment to resurface. Whether or not we will ever uncover the full truth of their fate is still uncertain, but the mystery of the Templar survival remains one of the most enduring and tantalizing puzzles in history. The Knights Templars' official dissolution in the early 14th century marked the end of their formal existence, but the legacy of the Order has proven to be anything but extinguished. Over the centuries, the Templars have left behind a web of influences, from secret societies to hidden knowledge, and their symbols and rituals have resurfaced in surprising places. Despite the efforts of King Philip IV and Pope Clement V to erase them from history, the Templars' legacy has managed to survive in both visible and hidden forms, shaping the world in ways that remain enigmatic to this day. The suppression of the Templars was not simply a matter of eliminating a military order. It was an attempt to suppress the very essence of what the Templars represented: mysticism, wealth, power, and perhaps most significantly, a form of secret knowledge that could undermine the established order of the Church and the monarchy. The fact that this knowledge survived, in one form or another, is a testament to the resilience of the Templars' core beliefs. But what exactly was this knowledge, and how did it continue to influence world events after their fall? One of the most striking aspects of the Templar legacy is the presence of their symbols and rituals in later organizations, particularly in the Freemasons. Many scholars and conspiracy theorists have drawn a direct line between the Templars and the Freemasons, pointing to the similarities in their rites, symbols, and hierarchical structures. The Freemasons, who have long been associated with secret knowledge and hidden power, are believed by many to be the inheritors of the Templar tradition, preserving their secrets and continuing their work in secrecy. The iconic symbols of the Templars, the Red Cross, the sword, and the pentagram, are all prominent in Freemasonic iconography, and some of the rituals performed by Freemasons mirror those of the Templar Order. The connection between the Templars and the Freemasons goes beyond mere symbolism. Many of the founding fathers of modern Freemasonry, particularly in the 17th and 18th centuries, were deeply influenced by the mysticism and secrecy that defined the Templars. Some even believed that Freemasonry was the continuation of the Templar legacy, and that the order's most sacred knowledge had been passed down through secret channels. The idea that the Templars survived by merging with other organizations, like the Freemasons, has become one of the most enduring and influential theories regarding their fate. Beyond the Freemasons, the Templars' legacy can be traced through other secret societies that emerged in the wake of their suppression. The Rosicrucians, for example, are often cited as another group that inherited the mystical knowledge and spiritual traditions of the Templars. Like the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians were interested in alchemy, Gnosticism, and the occult, all of which were central to Templar beliefs. The Rosicrucians' cryptic texts and symbols, as well as their focus on hidden wisdom, bear striking similarities to the esoteric practices of the Templars. Many historians believe that these secret societies were not just inspired by the Templars, but were directly connected to them, serving as conduits for the transmission of Templar knowledge through the centuries. The idea that the Templars' influence persisted through secret societies is supported by the fact that many of the individuals involved in these movements held powerful positions in society. Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and other such groups have included monarchs, politicians, and intellectuals among their ranks, individuals who were capable of shaping history. If these secret societies were indeed the continuation of Templar ideals, then the Templars' influence would have been far-reaching, affecting not only religious and philosophical thought, but also the political landscape of Europe and beyond. But the Templar legacy is not confined to secret societies. It has also had a significant impact on the development of Western esoteric traditions and the occult. The Templars' connection to alchemy, Gnosticism, and mysticism has been explored by scholars and occultists alike, with many believing that the order's members were initiates into ancient spiritual knowledge. The Templars, with their extensive travels and interactions with other cultures during the Crusades, were in a unique position to access hidden knowledge from both the East and the West. It is thought that they were exposed to esoteric teachings that had been suppressed by the Church, such as the Gnostic texts that were rediscovered in the 19th century, and that these teachings formed the basis of Templar spirituality. One of the most significant elements of the Templar legacy is the idea that they possessed hidden knowledge that could change the course of history. This knowledge, some believe, was not just religious in nature, but also included advanced scientific and philosophical concepts that were centuries ahead of their time. The Templars' focus on sacred geometry, mathematics, and architecture is often cited as evidence of their connection to ancient knowledge. The construction of their iconic structures, such as the chapels, castles, and fortresses they built throughout Europe and the Holy Land, was not just about defense or religious devotion. It was also a reflection of their understanding of the deeper mysteries of the universe. The Templars' knowledge of architecture, for example, is thought to have played a role in the development of Gothic cathedrals, many of which were designed with precise mathematical ratios and proportions that reflected the Templars' understanding of sacred geometry. The pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses that characterize Gothic architecture are believed to embody a kind of spiritual symbolism that the Templars may have been familiar with. The idea that the Templars were guardians of secret knowledge about the construction of sacred spaces, spaces that were designed to align with cosmic forces, adds a layer of mysticism to their legacy that continues to captivate the imagination. But the Templars' influence is not confined to the realm of secret societies, occult traditions, or architecture. Their legacy can also be seen in the modern fascination with hidden knowledge and conspiracy theories. Over the centuries, the Templars have been portrayed as guardians of ancient secrets, whether it's the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or other sacred relics. And this has fueled a great deal of speculation and myth-making. Their name has become synonymous with mystery, and their supposed role in protecting powerful objects has become a central theme in countless works of fiction, from novels to films. The enduring popularity of stories about the Templars reflects the lasting impact they have had on our cultural imagination. The Templars also played a role in shaping our understanding of history, particularly in relation to the Crusades and the history of the Christian Church. The Order's involvement in the Crusades, their interactions with Eastern religions, and their eventual conflict with the Church have all contributed to a broader understanding of the medieval world. The Templars were not just soldiers of Christ. They were participants in a complex and often violent clash of cultures, religions, and ideologies. Their legacy serves as a reminder of the complexity of the historical forces at play during the Crusades, and their story is inextricably linked to the larger narrative of religious conflict, political intrigue, and a struggle for power in medieval Europe. In the modern world, the legacy of the Templars continues to inspire and intrigue people from all walks of life. Whether through the Freemasons, the study of sacred geometry, or the enduring fascination with their hidden treasures, the Templars remain a symbol of both mystery and power. Their influence can be seen in the way we think about secret knowledge, power structures, and the role of the individual in shaping history. And as long as their mysteries remain unsolved, the Knights Templar will continue to be a source of fascination and speculation, their legacy woven into the very fabric of our understanding of the past, present, and future. The Knights Templar may have been disbanded and persecuted, but their influence has never truly disappeared. From secret societies to esoteric traditions, from hidden knowledge to architectural wonders, the Templars' legacy continues to shape the world in ways that are often hidden from plain sight. Their story is far from over, and their true role in history may only become clearer as we continue to search for the truth about their mysterious past and the hidden influence they exerted on the course of history. The Knights Templar were not just warriors or bankers. They were also initiates into a deeply esoteric tradition, one that drew upon ancient wisdom, mysticism, and secret knowledge. Their rituals, symbols, and beliefs have long been subjects of speculation and intrigue, with many theorists suggesting that these elements were central to the Order's true power. The public face of the Templars may have been that of a chivalric military order dedicated to protecting Christian pilgrims and the holy sites of Jerusalem. But beneath this surface, they were also stewards of a much more profound and mysterious spiritual tradition. It is within their secret rituals and hidden teachings that some believe lies the true legacy of the Knights Templar. At the core of Templar belief was a complex system of initiation and spiritual progression. The Knights underwent a series of rites and ceremonies that were designed to elevate them from novices to full members of the Order. These initiations were not merely symbolic. They were thought to impart profound spiritual knowledge that could open the initiates' minds to higher truths. The most famous of these rituals is the initiation ceremony itself, which involved a series of oaths, symbols, and pledges. The exact details of these ceremonies are lost to history, but many aspects have been reconstructed from accounts left by former Templars and the writings of later scholars. One of the most intriguing aspects of Templar initiation was the use of symbols. The Templars were known for their distinctive insignia, particularly the red cross that appeared on their tunics. This cross was not just a symbol of their Christian faith, but also a representation of their deep spiritual commitments. Some believe that the cross itself was a representation of the ancient concept of sacred geometry, a symbol of balance and divine order that transcended the Christian context. The use of the cross in Templar ritual was believed to have a deeper, more mystical meaning, one that connected the individual initiate to divine forces and cosmic truths. The exact nature of these symbolic meanings is not fully understood, but the cross remains a central image in Templar lore, representing both their Christian identity and their connection to a hidden, mystical tradition. The rituals performed by the Templars also involve the use of secret handshakes, passwords, and gestures that serve to identify members of the order. These secret signs were believed to confer protection and power, allowing the knights to communicate with each other in a clandestine manner. Some of these handshakes and gestures are thought to have been derived from ancient mystery schools, such as the Pythagoreans and the Egyptian priesthood. The use of these secret signs and symbols is a key aspect of the esoteric beliefs of the Templars, linking them to a long tradition of secret societies and mystical orders that believed in the power of hidden knowledge. At the heart of Templar ritual was a profound belief in the power of sacred space. Many of the Templars' fortresses and churches were constructed with a deep understanding of sacred geometry and architectural symbolism. The design of these buildings was intended to reflect the divine order of the universe, with each structure aligned to cosmic forces. The Templars were known for their expertise in architecture, and their influence can be seen in the design of many Gothic cathedrals and castles across Europe. These structures were not just places of worship or military defense. They were also temples of spiritual power, designed to channel divine energy and facilitate the initiation of the knights. The Templars' connection to sacred geometry is often cited as evidence of their esoteric knowledge. Sacred geometry refers to the use of geometric shapes and proportions in the design of sacred spaces and objects, and has long been associated with mystical and spiritual practices. The use of geometric principles in the construction of Templar fortresses and churches suggests that the order had a deep understanding of the hidden forces of the universe. Some believe that this knowledge was passed down through the generations, preserved in the architecture and rituals of the Templars, and that it was a key component of the esoteric beliefs that the knights held. Another important aspect of Templar ritual was the concept of spiritual alchemy. Alchemy, in its traditional sense, is the mystical art of transforming base metals into gold, but its deeper meaning is the transmutation of the soul from a lower state to a higher, more divine one. The Templars were known to have an interest in alchemical practices, and some scholars argue that alchemy was a central part of their spiritual beliefs. Through the practice of alchemy, the Templars believed that they could purify themselves and attain a higher state of consciousness, one that would bring them closer to divine truth. This idea of spiritual transformation is reflected in many of the Templar rituals, which are designed to purify the initiate and prepare him for the reception of hidden knowledge. The concept of alchemy was intertwined with the Templars' beliefs in the existence of a hidden, divine truth that could be accessed only through initiation and spiritual transformation. This belief in hidden knowledge, often referred to as Gnosticism, was a central tenet of many ancient mystical traditions. Gnosticism holds that there is a deeper, more mystical understanding of the world that can only be attained through direct experience, rather than through traditional religious teachings. The Templars, with their secretive nature and esoteric practices, were thought to be followers of this Gnostic tradition, believing that the true nature of reality could only be understood through personal spiritual enlightenment. The Templars' rituals and symbols were also deeply connected to the Christian concept of the Holy Grail. The Grail, a symbol of divine wisdom and enlightenment, was thought to be the ultimate spiritual goal of the Templar Knights. Some scholars believe that the Templars were not only searching for the Grail in a literal sense, but were also seeking to attain the spiritual wisdom and enlightenment that it represented. The Grail, in this context, was not just a physical object, but a symbol of the inner transformation that the Knights sought to achieve through their rituals. This idea is reflected in many of the Templar legends and myths, which portray the Order's search for the Grail as a quest for divine knowledge and spiritual awakening. One of the most famous Templar rituals is said to have taken place during the initiation of new members, where they were required to swear oaths of secrecy and loyalty to the order. The candidate would be blindfolded, symbolizing their ignorance, and would be led into a dark chamber, representing the darkness of the material world. There, the initiate would be confronted by a high-ranking member of the order who would impart secret knowledge and provide the candidate with spiritual guidance. The candidate would then be asked to make a pledge to protect the secrets of the order and to devote themselves to the pursuit of divine truth. This initiation was not just a rite of passage. It was believed to be a transformative experience that would alter the initiate's understanding of reality and their place in the world. The secrecy surrounding the Templars' rituals has contributed to the enduring mystery of the order. While many of the details of their practices have been lost over time, the symbols and rituals they left behind continue to captivate those who seek to understand their deeper meaning. The Templars' rituals were not just about the outward performance of religious ceremonies. They were about an inner journey of spiritual transformation, one that would allow the initiate to access hidden knowledge and ascend to a higher plane of existence. In conclusion, the Templars' rituals, symbols, and esoteric beliefs form a crucial part of their legacy. Far from being mere warriors and monks, the Templars were initiates into a mystical tradition that sought to uncover the hidden truths of the universe. Their rituals and practices, with their use of sacred geometry, alchemy, and Gnostic philosophy, were designed to prepare the knights for a deeper understanding of the divine. Though much of their secret knowledge has been lost to history, the symbols and ideas they left behind continue to resonate in modern times, influencing secret societies, mystical traditions, and the cultural imagination. The Templars were not just defenders of the Holy Land. They were guardians of a deeper, more profound truth that remains hidden, waiting to be discovered. Throughout the centuries, one of the most tantalizing aspects of the Knights Templar has been their alleged possession of hidden manuscripts, ancient scrolls, and secret documents, many of which were believed to contain forbidden knowledge, codes, and prophecies. These texts, some of which have been lost to time, are thought to hold the key to the Templars' true purpose, as well as the mystery surrounding their rise, their downfall, and their survival. The discovery of these manuscripts, or the understanding of the codes they contain, could reveal the true legacy of the Templars, whether it is ancient wisdom, a hidden treasure, or a map to long-forgotten secrets. The concept of the Templar manuscripts has been fueled by both historical accounts and modern conspiracy theories. While no single document can definitively explain the Templars' secretive nature, there are numerous texts and legends that hint at the existence of valuable and enigmatic writings. Some of these manuscripts are thought to have been hidden by the Templars themselves, while others may have been suppressed or lost due to political or religious pressures. Regardless of their fate, the existence of these texts has remained a central part of Templar lore and mystique. One of the most famous and intriguing documents allegedly associated with the Templars is the so-called cipher manuscript, a collection of cryptic symbols and strange writings that is believed to have been created by the Templars themselves. The manuscript, which has never been fully decoded, contained a series of symbols, geometric shapes, and letters that appear to form a complex code. Some researchers believe that the cipher manuscript contains hidden messages that reveal the true purpose of the Templar Order, their knowledge of sacred geometry, and their connection to ancient religious traditions. While scholars have made numerous attempts to decipher the manuscript, its true meaning remains elusive, adding to the air of mystery that surrounds the Templars. In addition to the cipher manuscript, there are other texts that have been associated with the Templars, many of which are believed to contain prophecies or hidden knowledge. One of the most famous of these is the Prophecy of the Templars, a document that is said to contain predictions about the future of the Order, the fate of their treasure, and the potential return of the Templars in some form. The prophecy, though not universally accepted as authentic, has inspired numerous theories about the future of the Templars and their potential reemergence. Some believe that the Templars will one day return to claim their lost treasure, while others argue that the prophecy is a veiled reference to a more spiritual resurrection of the Order, one that could usher in a new age of enlightenment and revelation. There are also accounts of other Templar-related manuscripts that have been lost or destroyed over the years. Some believe that the Templars possessed sacred texts that contained knowledge about the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and other religious artifacts that the order was rumored to have protected during the Crusades. These manuscripts may have contained detailed accounts of the Templars' role in the preservation and safeguarding of these powerful objects, as well as the secrets they learned from their interactions with Eastern religious traditions during their time in the Holy Land. It is thought that these texts were either hidden away in secret locations or destroyed by those seeking to suppress the knowledge they contained. The most famous of these artifacts is, of course, the Holy Grail. Over the centuries, the Templars have been linked to the Grail legend, with many believing that the Knights were its secret guardians. Some theorists argue that the Grail was not a literal cup, but rather a symbol of divine knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. Knowledge that could only be accessed by those initiated into the deepest mysteries. The Templars, with their extensive network and connections to the Church, may have been privy to esoteric texts that describe the Grail's true nature and purpose. If these manuscripts still exist, they could contain a wealth of hidden information about the Grail, the Templars' role in its protection, and the spiritual secrets it represents. One of the most compelling theories regarding the Templar manuscripts is that they contain codes or maps leading to hidden treasures, including the Templar wealth and sacred relics. The idea that the Templars hid their treasure before their persecution is a well-known part of their legend. But the question remains, where did they hide it, and what clues did they leave behind? Some believe that the Templars encoded this information in their manuscripts, using cryptic symbols and hidden codes to point the way to their lost riches. If these manuscripts were preserved and decoded, they might reveal the locations of hidden vaults, forgotten cities, or sacred sites that contain the treasure the Templars took with them when they fled persecution. The possibility of hidden treasure maps is particularly enticing because of the Templars' history of navigating distant lands. During the Crusades, the Templars were known for their strategic use of maps and navigational knowledge, which allowed them to traverse the complex terrain of the Holy Land and beyond. It is thought that some of this knowledge may have been encoded in their manuscripts, with the symbols and diagrams serving as guides to hidden locations. The idea of secret treasure maps has been the subject of many treasure hunts, particularly in places like Oak Island in Canada, where people have long believed that Templar treasure may be buried. Whether or not these maps exist is uncertain, but the concept of hidden clues embedded in Templar manuscripts adds another layer to the mystery. Another aspect of the Templar manuscripts that has captured the imagination is their potential connection to forbidden or suppressed knowledge. The Templars, as an order that operated at the fringes of both church and state power, were thought to have access to knowledge that was hidden from the public, knowledge that could challenge the established order. Some of this knowledge may have been spiritual in nature, relating to alternative interpretations of Christian doctrine, Gnostic texts, or ancient religious practices. It is possible that the Templars, through their travels and interactions with Eastern cultures, came into possession of forbidden scriptures that were considered heretical by the Catholic Church. If such texts existed, they would represent a powerful alternative to the religious teachings of the time and could explain why the Templars were so fiercely persecuted. The idea of suppressed knowledge has played a central role in the modern fascination with the Templars. Many researchers believe that the Templars possessed documents that outlined ancient truths, knowledge of the divine, and insights into the hidden workings of the universe. These manuscripts may have contained information that was too dangerous for the Church to allow to circulate. Throughout history, certain books and texts have been suppressed for their challenge to religious and political authority, and the Templar manuscripts may have been among them. The fact that much of this knowledge has been lost or hidden only adds to its allure, with modern-day seekers of truth continuing to search for the lost texts that might reveal the true nature of the Templars' mission. Despite centuries of searching, many of these manuscripts have never been found, and their contents remain a mystery. Whether they are hidden in secret archives, buried in forgotten corners of the world, or lost forever to time, the Templar manuscripts continue to spark the imagination. The codes, prophecies, and sacred knowledge they are believed to contain represent the ultimate prize for those seeking to uncover the secrets of the Templars. The tantalizing possibility of discovering these texts, Whether they reveal the location of hidden treasures, secret knowledge, or a spiritual truth, keeps the legend of the Knights Templar alive in the modern world. And as long as these manuscripts remain hidden, the mystery of the Templars will continue to captivate those who seek to understand the true legacy of the order. The Knights Templar were born out of the Crusades, the series of religious wars launched by European Christians to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. However, the Templars' role in the Crusades extends far beyond mere participation as soldiers of Christ. They were instrumental in shaping the course of these wars, acting not only as military protectors, but also as financial backers, political players, and cultural ambassadors. Their impact on the Crusades was profound, and it is within this context that many of the Order's most enduring mysteries and legends took shape. The foundation of the Templars in the early 12th century was directly tied to the Crusades. When the First Crusade succeeded in capturing Jerusalem in 1099, the city became a focal point of Christian pilgrimage. Pilgrims from across Europe flooded into the Holy Land to visit sacred sites like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. However, the journey was perilous, and many pilgrims were attacked by bandits or local Muslim forces. The need for a reliable, organized force to protect these travelers led to the creation of the Knights Templar in 1119. Founded by Hugues de Payens and a small group of knights, the order was originally tasked with safeguarding the roads to Jerusalem and ensuring safe passage for pilgrims. It is believed that they took their name from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where they established their headquarters. Initially, the Templars were relatively small in number, but their reputation for discipline, military skill, and unwavering dedication to their cause quickly spread across Europe. With the blessing of the Pope, they began to expand rapidly. The Templars received donations of land, money, and troops from European nobles, and their membership grew exponentially. Within a few decades, they were one of the most powerful military orders in Europe, with a presence across the Holy Land and throughout Christian Europe. As the Crusades continued, the Templars became essential players in the political and military strategies of the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, which was the Christian state established in the wake of the First Crusade. The Templars' primary role was as soldiers, but they were much more than that. They were among the most skilled and disciplined fighting forces in the medieval world. Their distinctive white mantles adorned with a red cross became a symbol of their martial prowess and unwavering commitment to their cause. The Templars were heavily involved in the major military campaigns of the Crusades, including the Second, Third, and Fourth Crusades, fighting in key battles and sieges across the Levant. However, their involvement was not limited to the battlefield. They also played a vital role in the management and defense of the Crusader states, including Jerusalem, Antioch, Tripoli, and Edessa. As the Crusades progressed, the Templars became increasingly influential in the political and financial spheres. One of the key ways in which they exerted power was through their control of vast amounts of wealth and land. The Templars were more than just soldiers. They were bankers, financiers, and landowners with an expansive network across Europe. They established a sophisticated banking system, which allowed pilgrims and crusaders to deposit money in one region and withdraw it in another. This system helped to fund the Crusades, providing the necessary resources for future military expeditions. The Templars' financial prowess made them a powerful force both in the Holy Land and in Europe, where they were entrusted with large sums of money by monarchs and nobles. Their wealth and influence grew to such an extent that they began to rival the monarchies of Europe. They were granted special privileges by the Pope, including the ability to collect tithes and taxes from lands across Christendom. The Templars' role as financiers extended beyond the Crusades. They became involved in financing large-scale building projects, including the construction of castles, fortifications, and cathedrals. Their expertise in logistics, engineering, and finance was integral to the success of many Crusader campaigns. Through their banking network, they were also able to amass wealth, much of which was used to fund their military operations. As the Crusader states expanded, so too did the Templars' influence. They played a critical role in the defense of the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, particularly in the aftermath of the fall of Edessa in 1144. The Templars were tasked with defending Jerusalem itself during the siege of the city by Muslim forces, and they fought in several key battles to retain control of the Holy Land. However, despite their efforts, the Crusader states were increasingly under siege, both from external Muslim forces and from internal political strife. The Templars' military involvement in the defense of these states became more complex as the situation on the ground worsened. In addition to their military and financial roles, the Templars were also involved in the religious and spiritual aspects of the Crusades. They were part of the broader Christian mission to reclaim the Holy Land, and their commitment to religious ideals was deeply ingrained in their identity. The Templars were a monastic order, bound by vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and they saw their military activities as part of a larger religious crusade. Their belief in the sanctity of Jerusalem and their devotion to protecting Christian pilgrims was a central part of their mission. However, their spiritual beliefs also led to a tension with the Church, especially as the Templars' wealth and power grew. The Templars' growing influence also meant that they were increasingly at odds with the broader political and religious forces in Europe. While they enjoyed the patronage of the Pope, their growing power and independence made them a target for both secular rulers and the Catholic Church. Their wealth and autonomy were viewed with suspicion by many, and it is likely that their financial dealings and influence contributed to their eventual downfall. By the time of the early 14th century, the Templars had become too powerful for their own good. They had accumulated vast estates and amassed considerable wealth, all while maintaining a degree of independence that many found troubling. The political machinations of King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V ultimately led to the order's dissolution, but the legacy of the Templars' role in the Crusades remained. The Templars' involvement in the Crusades is often portrayed through the lens of their military prowess, but their contribution to the Crusades was also cultural and ideological. They helped to shape the medieval worldview by blending Christian faith with the martial ideals of chivalry. Their participation in the Crusades marked a shift in the way European Christians perceived their role in the world. They were no longer simply defending the faith in their local territories, but rather taking part in a global struggle for control of sacred land. The Templars also played a role in fostering cross-cultural exchanges between the Christian and Muslim worlds, particularly in the Holy Land, where they interacted with local Islamic cultures and learned from them. The Templars' activities in the Crusades left a lasting imprint on European society. They were the models for future military orders, and their organizational structure became a template for other groups, such as the Hospitallers and the Teutonic Knights. The Templars' legacy also extended beyond the Crusades, influencing the development of European banking, military strategy, and even modern secret societies. Many of the symbols and rituals associated with the Templars continue to be used by groups like the Freemasons and other secret organizations, who trace their roots back to the medieval period. In conclusion, the Templars' role in the Crusades was far more complex and multifaceted than that of mere warriors. They were soldiers, bankers, politicians, spiritual leaders, and cultural ambassadors, all woven together in a web of influence that extended across Europe and the Holy Land. Their legacy is one of both military achievement and spiritual devotion, and their impact on the Crusades cannot be overstated. From their role in protecting pilgrims to their involvement in the defense of the Holy Land, the Templars played an essential part in the medieval world's most significant religious wars. Even after the Crusades ended, their influence lived on, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to captivate historians, theorists, and enthusiasts of hidden knowledge. The story of the Knights Templar reaches its most dramatic and mysterious chapter with their sudden and violent downfall at the beginning of the 14th century. From a moment their meteoric rise to power began in the early 12th century, the Templars seemed unstoppable. They had amassed wealth, influence, and military prowess, and their network stretched across Europe and the Holy Land. However, in 1307, this golden age came to a catastrophic end, not by an external enemy, but by betrayal from within the heart of the Catholic Church and the French monarchy. The Templars' swift destruction has since been shrouded in conspiracy, intrigue, and historical revisionism, sparking debates that continue to this day about the true reasons for their fall. The Templars' downfall was the result of a carefully orchestrated series of events, masterminded by two powerful forces, King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V. Philip, also known as Philip the Fair, had long been in financial debt to the Templar order. The French king owed vast sums of money to the Templars, who had served as his bankers and financiers for years. As Philip's financial difficulties deepened, he saw the Templars as an increasingly valuable target. They were a wealthy, independent organization with immense power, and by eliminating them, Philip hoped to seize their riches and rid himself of his financial burden. But it was not just the Templars' wealth that worried Philip. It was their political influence and autonomy, which made them a potential rival to his authority. Pope Clement V, who had been elected to the papacy in 1305, was also in a precarious position. He was under the control of King Philip, who had exerted significant pressure on him to move the papacy from Rome to Avignon, a city in southern France, where Philip's influence was stronger. In return for Philip's support, Clement was in a weakened position, unable to oppose the king's wishes. When Philip began to press for the Templars' destruction, Clement was in no position to resist. The Pope's failure to protect the order would lead to one of the most significant betrayals in religious and political history. The first steps toward the Templars' destruction began on Friday, October 13th, 1307, when King Philip IV, acting under the direction of Pope Clement, ordered the mass arrest of all Templars in France. The knights were arrested on charges of heresy, blasphemy, and a range of other accusations that would later be proven to be either fabricated or exaggerated. Templar Grand Master Jacques de Molay, along with many of his fellow knights, were taken into custody, and the order's vast wealth was seized by the French crown. The arrests were carried out under the guise of crackdown on heresy, but the true motivations were far more material. The Templars were accused of committing abominable acts during their initiation rites, including idol worship, sexual perversion, and blasphemous rituals, accusations that were, in all likelihood, fabricated to justify their persecution. The charges leveled against the Templars were not only an affront to their dignity, but also a direct challenge to the legitimacy of their order. The knights were interrogated under torture, and many of them, broken by physical pain, confessed to acts they had never committed. These confessions, extracted through fear and pain, were used as proof of the Templars' guilt. However, many of the confessions were contradictory, and the nature of the accusations grew increasingly bizarre. The very nature of these accusations, ranging from the worship of a mysterious idol to secret sexual rites, suggested that they were intended to undermine the legitimacy of the order and tarnish its reputation in the eyes of the public. Pope Clement, although initially hesitant, eventually succumbed to the pressure from King Philip and issued a papal bull, Pastoralis Preeminentia, in 1307, which ordered the arrest of all Templars across Christendom. However, Clement's position was complicated by the fact that the Templars had been officially recognized by the Church. They were not only a military order, but also a religious one, bound by vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience. The Church's complicity in the suppression of the Templars remains a contentious issue, with some historians suggesting that the Pope, in his subservience to Philip, allowed the Templars to be destroyed in exchange for political favor and support. In the aftermath of the mass arrests, the Templars' property was confiscated, their wealth seized, and their lands divided among Philip and his allies. The knights themselves were either imprisoned, tortured, or executed. Grand Master Jacques de Molay, who had initially been one of the most powerful figures in Christendom, was put on trial, and despite his protests of innocence, he was ultimately condemned to death. In 1314, he was publicly burned at the stake in Paris, an event that symbolized the final destruction of the Templar order in France. The dissolution of the Templars was not limited to France. Throughout Europe, the order was systematically suppressed, with many knights being arrested and tried for heresy. In England, the Templars were also arrested and their wealth seized, though the fate of the knights was somewhat less brutal. In other countries, the order was disbanded, and its properties were handed over to rival religious orders, such as the Hospitallers. In some regions, the Templars were allowed to continue operating under different names or were absorbed into other organizations, though the once mighty order had been irrevocably shattered. The reasons behind the Templars' fall have been the subject of much debate and speculation over the centuries. While it is clear that financial motives played a major role in the Templars' destruction, there are deeper questions about the true reasons for their suppression. Many historians argue that the Templars' vast wealth and power made them a threat to the established order of both the monarchy and the church. Their growing independence and the perception that they were above the law may have led to their downfall. The order's secrecy, its complex rituals, and its perceived detachment from the authority of the church made them suspicious in the eyes of both the secular and religious powers of the time. Moreover, the Templars' role in the Crusades and their continued presence in the Holy Land may have contributed to their eventual collapse. By the early 14th century, the Crusader states in the Holy Land were under increasing pressure from Muslim forces. The loss of Jerusalem in 1187 and the subsequent weakening of Christian control in the region left the Templars with fewer military objectives, making them less essential to the defense of the Crusader states. With their role in the Crusades diminishing, their power became more concentrated in Europe, where it was seen as a threat to both secular and religious authorities. Beyond the political and financial motives, some have suggested that the Templars were destroyed because of the secrets they supposedly possessed. The order's ties to esoteric knowledge, sacred relics, and mystical beliefs may have led to their suppression by those who fear that the Templars' hidden knowledge could challenge the authority of the church and the monarchy. Whether they held the key to the Holy Grail, a map to hidden treasure, or ancient wisdom lost to time, the Templars' secrets may have been too dangerous to leave unchecked. After the Templars were suppressed, their mythic status grew, fueled by conspiracy theories and legends. Some believe that the order did not die, but instead went underground, surviving through secret societies like the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians. Others argue that the Templars' treasure was hidden away, waiting to be rediscovered by those who were capable of unlocking its secrets. The mystery of the Templars' fall and the questions surrounding their supposed secrets continue to captivate historians, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists to this day. In conclusion, the collapse of the Knights Templar is one of history's most dramatic and mysterious events. The combination of political machinations, financial motives, and religious zeal led to the swift and violent destruction of one of the most powerful and influential organizations of the medieval world. The betrayal by King Philip IV and Pope Clement V ensured that the Templars' wealth and power were eradicated, but it also ensured that their legend would live on. The questions surrounding the Templars' downfall, their supposed hidden knowledge, their treasures, and the true nature of their activities continue to fuel fascination and speculation. The fall of the Templars marked the end of an era, but their legacy has never been fully erased from history. Despite their official dissolution in the early 14th century, the legacy of the Knights Templar has remained remarkably resilient. The order's dramatic downfall, fueled by political betrayal and religious persecution, gave birth to a mythic narrative that has persisted through the centuries. From their alleged possession of hidden treasures to their connections with secret societies, the Templars' influence has continued to shape history, both in overt and clandestine ways. Their mystique has been passed down through the centuries, influencing countless cultural, political, and religious movements, and embedding itself in modern mythologies, conspiracy theories, and secret societies that claim a link to the Templars' mysterious past. One of the most significant aspects of the Templars' enduring legacy is their perceived influence on modern secret societies. The most prominent of these is undoubtedly the Freemasons, who are often cited as the spiritual descendants of the Templars. The connection between the two organizations has been a subject of fascination for centuries. Some scholars and conspiracy theorists believe that the Freemasons inherited the Templars' rituals, symbols, and esoteric knowledge, and that they continue to uphold the Templar traditions under a new guise. While there is no definitive historical evidence linking the Templars directly to the Freemasons, Many Masonic symbols, such as the square and compass, bear resemblance to Templar imagery. Additionally, some Masonic rituals seem to echo the secrecy and hierarchical structure that define the Templar order. The idea that the Templars survived their official destruction and continued to operate through secret societies is a powerful narrative that has captivated the imaginations of many. According to this theory, the Templars did not disappear, but instead went underground, using their influence to shape future historical events and movements from the shadows. The Freemasons, along with other secretive organizations such as the Rosicrucians and the Illuminati, are often linked to this supposed Templar survival, with some suggesting that these groups continue to hold and protect the Templars' lost knowledge and treasures. This notion of an underground survival is not limited to secret societies. Over the centuries, there have been numerous claims of Templar remnants hiding their wealth or sacred relics in hidden locations, waiting to be rediscovered. One of the most enduring legends is that of the Templar treasure, a vast hoard of gold, relics, and sacred artifacts believed to have been hidden away by the Knights before their suppression. The fate of this treasure remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some believe that it was buried on the remote island of Oak Island in Canada, or hidden in the ruins of Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. Others suggest that the treasure was moved to places like Portugal or the Americas, where it could have remained safely hidden from the church and monarchy. While no treasure has ever been definitively found, the search for the Templar hoard has inspired countless treasure hunts, with many pointing to cryptic maps, symbols, and clues believed to have been left behind by the Knights. In addition to the physical treasure, there is the tantalizing idea that the Templars may have possessed ancient, esoteric knowledge that could change our understanding of history, religion, and the cosmos. The Templars' connection to the Holy Grail, a symbol of divine wisdom and enlightenment, is central to many of these theories. According to some, the Templars were not only the guardians of the Grail, but were also the keepers of its true secret, the hidden knowledge it represented. This knowledge, which could include ancient texts, hidden religious practices, or advanced scientific understanding, is thought by some to have been passed down through the centuries in the form of secret codes, manuscripts, and oral traditions. The idea that the Templars were in possession of such knowledge lends a mystical dimension to their legacy, and has been embraced by various New Age and spiritual movements throughout the years. The Templar connection to the Grail is not confined to conspiracy theories. The Grail legend itself has undergone significant reinterpretation over the centuries, with the Templars often playing a central role in these modern retellings. The Grail, in some interpretations, is not a physical object, but a symbol of spiritual enlightenment, hidden wisdom, or the divine. The Templars, as the protectors of the Grail, are portrayed as guardians of this higher knowledge, and their quest for the Grail becomes a metaphor for the search for spiritual truth and transformation. In many books, films, and documentaries, the Templars' connection to the Grail is depicted as the ultimate secret, one that has been concealed from the masses for centuries and is now waiting to be uncovered by those who are worthy. This idea of hidden knowledge and secret wisdom has been carried forward into the modern era through various esoteric and occult movements. Groups like the Freemasons, the Golden Dawn, and other secret societies continue to claim ties to the Templars, often presenting themselves as the keepers of ancient wisdom and custodians of mystical traditions. The symbols and rituals of these organizations often feature imagery that has been linked to the Templars, such as the use of the Templar cross, the five-pointed star, and other geometric patterns that echo sacred geometry. Some researchers argue that the Templars, with their vast network and access to diverse cultures, were privy to hidden knowledge about the natural world, the cosmos, and even the nature of divinity itself. Over time, this knowledge has allegedly been passed down through secret societies, with the hope that it will one day be revealed to the public. The Templars' enduring legacy is not confined to the world of secret societies and mystical knowledge. Their influence has also extended into the realm of popular culture, where they are often depicted as enigmatic figures shrouded in mystery. From Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code to countless historical novels, films, and documentaries, The Templars have become one of the most enduring symbols of hidden history and forbidden knowledge. Their dramatic rise and fall, their connection to the Holy Grail, and their supposed possession of sacred relics and treasures have made them a central figure in modern storytelling. These portrayals often depict the Templars as a noble and virtuous group, protectors of divine secrets, who were betrayed and destroyed by those who feared their power. In popular culture, the Templars are often cast as the ultimate champions of hidden truth, fighting to preserve ancient knowledge against the forces of ignorance and corruption. This image of the Templars as guardians of a sacred truth appeals to a modern desire for mystery and discovery, and their legacy continues to inspire fascination and speculation. The image of the Templars as a secret society with access to hidden knowledge and power is particularly compelling in a world where information is often controlled and censored by powerful institutions. Beyond conspiracy theories and popular culture, the Templars' legacy can also be seen in the enduring appeal of their symbols and ideas in modern-day spiritual and philosophical movements. The Templar cross, for example, continues to be used in various spiritual and esoteric traditions, often symbolizing the quest for higher truth and enlightenment. In addition, the values associated with the Templars, discipline, honor, loyalty, and self-sacrifice, continue to resonate with many people today, particularly within organizations that value brotherhood and mutual support. The Templar legacy has also influenced modern discussions of chivalry and knighthood, inspiring contemporary orders of knights and charitable organizations that seek to uphold the ideals of the medieval knight. In conclusion, the legacy of the Knights Templar has endured far beyond their official dissolution. From secret societies to modern myths and popular culture, their influence continues to shape the way we view history, spirituality, and the pursuit of knowledge. Whether they survived as a hidden order protecting ancient secrets or simply became the subject of fascination and legend, the Templars have left an indelible mark on the collective imagination. Their story continues to captivate those who seek to uncover the mysteries of the past and unlock the secrets they left behind. The Knights Templar may have been officially destroyed in the 14th century, but their mythic legacy is alive and well, influencing everything from modern esoteric traditions to blockbuster films and books. The Templars, it seems, are far from forgotten. The enduring allure of the Knights Templar, a combination of their mystical origins, their supposed wealth, and the rumors surrounding their connection to the Holy Grail, has inspired countless explorers, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists over the centuries. While the official dissolution of the order in the early 14th century seemed to mark the end of the Templars' visible influence, the belief that they left behind clues to treasures, secrets, and hidden knowledge has continued to inspire a vast number of expeditions, studies, and quests to uncover their enigmatic legacy. From maps and cryptic symbols to the location of lost cities, the search for Templar secrets has become one of history's greatest ongoing mysteries. At the heart of many of these searches is the belief that the Templars, with their vast resources, extensive network, and esoteric knowledge, hid something of immense value. According to legend, as the Templars were being persecuted by King Philip IV of France, they managed to hide not only their wealth but also sacred artifacts, including the Holy Grail, ancient texts, and relics that held profound spiritual and mystical significance. These treasures, hidden away in secret locations, have become the object of relentless pursuit. But despite centuries of searching, no one has definitively uncovered the Templar hoards. The mystery of where and how these treasures were concealed continues to drive exploration and intrigue. One of the most enduring and tantalizing legends surrounding the Templars is the belief that they left behind maps or symbols that could lead to their hidden treasures. These clues are said to be embedded in the architecture of Templar sites, in the designs of their castles, or in the strange symbols and markings that adorn Templar manuscripts and artifacts. Some researchers believe that the Templars used codes and encryption to hide the locations of their most valuable treasures, including gold, religious relics, and other sacred objects. These maps and codes, according to some theories, may still be hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to decipher them. One of the most famous locations associated with the Templar treasure is Oak Island, a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia in Canada. For centuries, explorers and treasure hunters have been drawn to the island, believing that the Templars hid their wealth there. Oak Island is home to the infamous Money Pit, a mysterious shaft that has been the site of numerous excavations over the years. Early explorers believed that the pit contained treasure, perhaps hidden by the Templars, though no conclusive evidence has ever been found. Over the years, the pit has yielded artifacts that some believe are connected to the Templars, including metal tools and strange markings. Despite the vast sums of money and time spent in the search, the true nature of the pit remains a mystery, adding fuel to the fire of the Templar treasure legend. The connection between Oak Island and the Templars is largely based on speculation. Some theorists argue that the island's remote location, combined with the mysterious nature of the Money Pit, makes it an ideal place for the Templars to have hidden their treasures.